Hey, I'm Jake. I make RPG supplements and videos about Pathfinder 2, or PF2, and other stuff, but mostly videos about Pathfinder 2. The Battlecry playtest has come out, and I love these playtests. I love getting a glimpse at new classes and breaking them down. I've already made a couple of these. So, at the end of this, there's going to be a Guardian character sheet that I've already created that you can download. But first, we're going to go through the Guardian step by step, and I'm going to mention archetypes that it could blend well with. This might take a while. Hi. The Guardian is like the Pathfinder 2 first premier true tank. I say true tank because it doesn't actually work like tanks work in like video games. It's not like you taunt them and your threat order goes to the top of the list, no matter who else was as threatening. It's just not how a role-playing game system works. It's not a tabletop one. But it does have an ability called Taunt. However, Taunt isn't the best taunt the taunting class has. I'll go over that in a moment too. If you don't want to hear the base abilities, you want to skip to the feats, go to this time. Otherwise, go into the base abilities first. First, basics. Guardian. It's a melee class. You get trained in all martial weapons, all armor, and shield block. 10 hit points plus constitution modifier. Your main stat is strength, as expected. I actually kind of expected it to be con, because hit points, but everybody's going to max out con anyway if they're playing a tank. It's just what's going to happen. Trained in perception. For saving throws, they're expert in fortitude, expert in will, trained in reflex. You get skills. Who cares? Skills don't matter. You're talking about a tank here. You're going to have athletics. That's the only thing you really care about. Maybe intimidation. But you're probably not going to have the stats for that. So starting at the beginning, I'm not going to go over skills, skill feats, ancestry feats. You guys know how that works. We're talking about the class. So at first level, you get several Guardian specific abilities. Guardian armor. You can rest normally while wearing medium and heavy armor, and you get the armor specialization effects for heavy and medium armor, which basically just means that you resist a certain amount of a certain type of damage from hits you take, depending on the kind of armor you take and what level you are, or what kind of rune you have on the armor. So it's usually going to be about like 2 piercing or slashing damage you're resisting, at least to start with. So the intercept strike is sort of what makes it really feel like a tank. It's not the taunt ability. So, intercept strike. Trigger. An adjacent ally takes physical damage. You fling yourself in the way of oncoming harm to protect an ally. You take the damage instead of your ally, though thanks to your armor, you gain resistance to all damage against the triggering damage equal to 2 plus your level. That's the tank ability. You use your meat shield, your corpus, to protect other people's corpuses so they don't become corpses. Taunt. The intercept strike is a reaction, as you probably could have guessed. Taunt is an action. It has the concentrate trait, which is interesting because if you multiclass this with Barbarian Archetype, you can't use it. Barbarians can't taunt. What? No, that's stupid. No, that shouldn't be the case. I hate that trait here. Anyway. Taunt, one action. With an intention, getting gesture, a cutting remark, or a threatening shout, you get an enemy to focus their ire on you. Even mindless creatures are drawn to your taunts. Choose a creature within 30 feet who must attempt a will save against your class DC. Regardless of the result, it is immune to your taunt until the beginning of your next turn. If you gesture, it has the visual trait. If you speak or otherwise make loud noises or insults about their mother, it gains the auditory trait. It has to have one of those 2 traits. Listen to the success levels and see if it sounds similar to a spell that already existed. Critical success, the creature is unaffected. Success, until the beginning of your next turn, the creature gains a +2 circumstance bonus to attack rolls it makes against you and to its DCs of effects that target you. For area effects, the DC only increases for you. But they take a -1 circumstance penalty to attack rolls and DCs when taking a hostile action that doesn't include you as a target. For failure, it's -2. Critical failure, it's -3. It is a very slightly better draw ire spell that you can cast every turn. I know it's not technically cast, but it's so much like the draw ire spell and it requires concentration that it has the concentrate trait. So it feels much like the draw ire spell. So is this really their big contribution to the Guardian being a tank? That's what we've been told, but really it's not. That's just like I don't know, trying to get video gamers to pay attention to this actually taunting people because it says taunt. They have a couple of abilities that make them much, much better at being a tank than just shouting, hey, your mother. Intercept Strike is one of them. You jump in front of your ally and take their damage, but you resist it. That's great. Granted, everybody has to be in melee range of you, within 5 feet, or 10 feet, depending. Or hell, 15 feet, depending more. In addition, at first level, you gain an ability called Threat Technique. The Guardian chooses one of 2 different techniques at first level, and you keep that for the rest of your life. Whether you stop their worst attacks or strike them down for going after your allies, you know how to deal with the targets of your taunts. Choose Ferocious Vengeance or Mitigate Harm. Ferocious Vengeance. Enemies that ignore your taunts take the brunt of your anger. You deal 2 additional damage on strikes against creatures affected by your taunt if they take a hostile action that doesn't include you as a target. You do a little bit more damage if they're not attacking you. I don't really know how they would know this, so it's not as though it's more threatening. It's not as though they're going to attack you because you're more dangerous. Like, an intelligent person is still going to take out the weaker person. I don't see the point of taking that if you're trying to be a tank. Yes, you could take it. Yes, it does something. Yes, it adds damage. It makes you a better frontline melee fighter. But it doesn't make you a better tank. Its second ability is Mitigate Harm, which I imagine almost everyone will take. You gain resistance to damage from critical hits made by a creature affected by your taunt. This resistance is equal to 2 plus half your level. This resistance increases by 2 at blah 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 blah. The previous Ferocious Vengeance damage also increased later in levels. Mitigate Harm doesn't do much, but it does something that's protecting you. So if you're trying to survive long enough for your allies to kill shit, that's what you're going to take. I really wish they had made 2 different threat techniques that are both defense in different ways. Like, casters around you get penalties or something. Something that affects more than just, I take a little bit less crit damage. Think about that, Paizo. Add a little bit more into that, because people aren't going to really take that. I do a little bit of extra damage to one person if I hit them by 2 points. Anyway, I don't like it. At third level, this is my favorite ability of theirs. No. This is my favorite flavor ability of theirs. Tough to kill. Third level. The protectiveness of your armor ensures that even if you fall, you take longer to die. You gain the Die Hard General feat. If you already have the Die Hard feat, you can retrain it when you get Tough to Kill. The first time each day you'd be reduced to dying 3 or higher, you started dying 2 instead. So Die Hard lets you die dying 5 instead of dying 4. This reduces your first dying 3 to dying 2, so it's like double Die Hard. It's Die Harder. I like that a lot, and it totally fits an orc. Like, get off my keyboard. No, oh. You see what you did, Lou? You screwed up everything for everyone. Nobody likes you. I'm just kidding. Everybody likes him. Where am I? God, you see, yeah, rub my hand. I love you too. All right. I apologize. I'm going to go through the rest of the abilities 1 through 20. I apologize because I don't like having to read them if I'm not focused on a character of that level. Like, I generally make fairly low level characters, so I don't care about the 15th level ability. It just doesn't matter to me. But people care, so I'm going to read it. At 5th level, you get Armor Expertise that just increases your proficiency rank with medium armor and heavy armor to expert. At 5th level, you get Reflex Expertise, so your proficiency rank for reflex saves increases to expert. 7th level ability, Reaction Time. Your proficiency rank for perception increases to expert. Also, cool part about 7th level, you also gain a reaction whenever you roll initiative for combat, but you can use it only for reactions from Guardian feats or class features, so you can always respond. That's neat. So that at the beginning of combat, you don't have to wait till your turn to be able to protect your allies. That's why it's important. 9th level, your proficiency rank, it's battle hardened. Your proficiency rank for fortitude saves increases to master. When you roll a success on a fortitude save, you get a critical success instead. 9th level, Guardian Expertise, you get increased to your Guardian class DC. 11th level, Armor Mastery, you're a master in armor proficiency. 11, Weapon Specialization, you deal 2 additional damage with weapons and unarmed attacks, which you're expert in. It increases to 3 if you're master, 4 if you're legendary. 13th, Greater Armor Specialization, Double the value of your armor's potency rune when calculating the resistance gained from armor specialization. So it's a few more points of damage resisted from a certain type of damage. Like you get at first level, it's just a little bit better. Hi. Legendary armor at 15th. You have legendary proficiency with medium and heavy armors. 15th, unyielding resolve. Your will saves increase to master. If you roll a success on a will save, you get a critical success instead. 17th, greater weapon specialization. Your damage from weapon specialization increases to 4 with weapons and unarmed attacks in which you're an expert, 6 if you're a master, 8 if you're legendary. 17th, weapon mastery. Your proficiency ranks for simple, martial, and unarmed increases to master. 19th, guardian mastery. Your proficiency rank for your guardian class DC increases to master when you attempt a reflex save to avoid a damaging effect such as a fireball. This is cool. You add your armor's item bonus to AC instead of your dexterity modifier. If you get a success when you do this, you get a critical success instead. So far, the very beginning parts have focused on this is the armored person that focuses on armor, and they wear heavy armor, so they're really armored, and your armor protects you by reducing damage you take in a variety of ways. That usually means that you have low dex, because why the hell would you have a high dex if you're wearing Bastion plate mail? Just can't use the dex. So this, Guardian Mastery, makes perfect sense. Unless you're wearing medium armor. Because you can, and you get almost all the same benefits. But then you'll have a higher dex. So this won't help you as much. I would like their 19th level thing to be a little bit more flexible. Because there are some feats here that work better if you wear lighter armor. Which it seems like a conflict. I'll get to that. So, Guardian feats. Yay! First level, Bodyguard. You swear a vow to protect one of your allies at all costs. During your daily preparations, choose one of your allies as your charge. When you intercept a strike against your charge, that reaction that all Guardians get, your charge gains resistance to physical damage equal to 1 plus half your level for 1 round. You can take 10 minutes to change who your charge is before your next daily preparations. It's only physical damage. And it's only for 1 round. And it's equal to 1 plus half your level. Yeah, it'll help people. But is it worth a feat? I think not. And we'll see why in a moment. Larger than life. Next first level feat. When you are clad in the heaviest of armors, you have an outsize presence. Outsize? Okay. Though you don't get any larger, you are treated as 1 size larger for the purposes of affecting other creatures with actions like disarm, grapple, reposition, shove, and trip while wearing heavy armor. Similarly, you are treated as 1 size larger for the purposes of creatures affecting you with those same actions, as well as swallow whole and similar actions while wearing heavy armor. This stacks with Titan Wrestler. A medium-sized creature can go wrestle a huge dragon. That's really cool. That makes me very happy. Or I guess it'd be, wow, it'd be gargantuan. Whoa. That's awesome. I know it doesn't make physics sense. Who cares? It's cool. Next first level feat, Long Distance Taunt. You can draw the wrath of your foes even at a great distance. When you use Taunt, you can choose a target within 120 feet. Normally it's 30. This is very nice because if your foe critically fails, they have -3 to hit any of your allies with a strike. That's just great. There's no reason not to take this. Well, probably. See, the problem I found with Guardian is that there's so many feats that change how you operate that you really need all the feats you can possibly get, which is why I chose Ancestry Human, even though I usually just don't like humans. But it can give you an extra class feat, and they're freaking important in this class. So long distance taunt matters, partly because you're going to probably be using either a polearm or a weapon and shield. Where in there do ranged weapons come in? They don't. So the long distance taunt is a way to at least affect enemies and maybe give your allies a little bit of protection. Next level 1 feat, Reactive Shield. It's a reaction. It's what you expect. It's a reactive shield. You can snap your shield into place just as you would take a blow, avoiding the hit at the last second. You immediately use the Raise a Shield action and gain your shield's bonus to AC. The circumstance bonus from the shield applies to your AC when you're determining the outcome of the triggering attack. It's reactive shield. Next level 1 feat, shoulder check. 1 action. You have to be wearing medium or heavy armor. You hit a foe with your armor to throw them off balance. Make a fist strike, even if you don't have a hand free, which is neat by itself. If you are wielding a gauntlet or spiked gauntlet, you can make a strike with one of those weapons instead. Neat. If this strike hits, the target is off guard for the rest of your turn. This is going to be awesome if you play a rogue and just take Guardian as a multi-class archetype. Because all you have to do is hit them, and then they're counted as off guard for the rest of your turn. This is great. That is so great. Okay, so yeah, for a Guardian, it helps a little bit. Not a lot. It just helps you hit your enemy better, which isn't the point of the Guardian. I know everybody wants to do damage, everybody wants to get the killing blow, but the point of the Guardian is my friends don't die. All right, it helps you better. It helps you fight better in combat. You do more damage. Cool. Next level 1 feat, unkind shove. When you push a foe away, you put the entire force of your armored form into it, like 600 pounds. When you successfully shove a creature, that creature takes an amount of bludgeoning damage equal to your strength modifier, double that amount on a critical success. I don't think that matters worth a damn. Not in light of these other first level feats you can take. Like, I would rather have bodyguard and long distance taunt, or better yet, long distance taunt and reactive shield, because they're both serving the main purpose of Guardian. Unkind shove is if you're going to shove people anyway, and then you just do a little bit of bludgeoning damage, which doesn't really matter. Like, if you're shoving them for the purpose of moving them, repositioning them, not to do damage. Anyway, I don't like that feat. Second level, armor break. 2 actions. Requirements: you are wearing medium or heavy armor that doesn't have the broken condition, and your current hit points are at half your maximum or lower. After taking a few hits, you flex your muscles to crack your armor, pushing the shards into your enemy alongside your weapon. That's just messed up, but incredibly metal. Make a melee strike. If it hits, you deal an additional 2d6 piercing damage. This additional damage increases by 1d6 at 6th level, and blah blah blah. This strike counts as 2 attacks for your multiple attack penalty. Your armor then gains the broken condition, meaning that you can do this once per fight. Meaning it's not always useful. Meaning I don't like it. While your armor is broken, you don't take its penalty to speed, and if your armor has the bulwark trait, you retain that bonus to reflex save, though the bonus is decreased by 1. So it has those side benefits, regardless of whether or not you use the offensive ability of armor break. And that's cool. Yeah, is it worth a second level feat? It's just the first one, so I'm going to say no, because there's better ones. Covering stance. Level 2 feat, 1 action. It's a stance. Go figure. Just your presence on the field of battle protects nearby allies from harm. While you are in this stance, choose one ally adjacent to you at the end of your turn to gain the benefits of lesser cover until the start of your next turn. That ally loses this benefit if they move so that they are no longer adjacent to you. If you intercept a strike that would harm that ally while they are benefiting from your lesser cover, that ally can step as a free action. That part's neat. However, you have to have just the right setup. And lesser cover, it just adds 1 to their AC. Is it worth you taking a second level feat and taking an action to take the stance, thus preventing other stances, that provides +1 AC to an ally? Technically, it's good. It's not as good as other things. So, next one. This is one that everybody should take always. Hampering sweeps. 1 action. You make it difficult for enemies to move away from you once they have gotten close, until the beginning of your next turn, or until you move, whichever comes first. Foes within reach of the weapon you are wielding, or your unarmed attack, can't use move actions to move outside of the reach of your weapon or unarmed attack. There's no role for this. This is what makes this person a tank. They can still move to other squares within reach of your weapon or unarmed attack, but you can gather bad guys around you and keep them from moving to your allies. Yeah, you will get a beatdown, but that's why you have high armor and other defensive abilities. This is amazing. This is what makes them a really good tank. Okay, the intercept strike is also really cool. But taunt, compared to this, meh. You know, it's good. It is. But hampering sweeps is better. Because it controls an area of enemies, not just one. Alright. So that is actually my favorite Guardian feat. Next feat, Raise Haft. Also level 2. You know how to use the haft of larger weapons to block attacks. Two-handed weapons you wield gain the parry trait. If the weapon already has the parry trait, you increase the circumstance bonus to AC it provides to +2. Cool. Good. But I'm betting that people are probably going to be using shields because there are so many abilities that work with shields, and shields prevent damage, not just add to AC. It's a nice option. Especially if you have a reason to, like, use a two-handed polearm and hampering sweeps to keep even more enemies around you. I can imagine a combo with reducing their movement and creating difficult terrain around you, maybe with an Oread Stomp or something like that. Oread Ancestry. To keep them from being able to move away from you, or being able to get around you, or even being able to maybe hit you. That would be cool if this tank just like kept a group of enemies around them and the rest of the party was just like ranged attacks and casters that slowed them and hampered them, and that could be really neat. Oh, I want to see that. All right. Next second level feat after Raise Haft, Shielding Taunt. This is really worth it too. It's a flourish, so you have to do it at the beginning of the round, once per round only. Requirements, you're wearing a shield. By banging loudly on your shield, you get the attention of even the most stubborn of foes. Next level 2 feat, Shielding Taunt. Takes 1 action. This is also a really good feat. It's a flourish, so once per turn, beginning of the turn. Requirements, you're wearing a shield. By banging loudly on your shield, you get the attention of even the most stubborn of foes. Raise a shield and then taunt a creature. So it's saving an action. Your taunt gains the auditory trait, and the target takes a -1 circumstance penalty to their save. I love it. It also really fits the fantasy of I'm like a shirtless barbarian warrior just whacking on my shield to get attention from the enemies. Awesome. I don't know why shirtless, just because that's the fantasy. Maybe that's my fantasy. Maybe it's not yours. So already, in just up to second level feats, we've seen they have a lot of tricks and tools to protect their allies and themselves. I like this class overall. I hope it's not changed much. There are a couple of things that just don't matter to me in the class, so I hope that they get taken out or slightly tweaked so that they're more useful. Fourth level feats. Area cover. Requirements, you're wearing medium or heavy armor. Almost everything requires that you wear medium or heavy armor, just because that's the class. You can open yourself up to large-scale attacks to protect those behind you. If you're in an area effect that requires a reflex saving throw and have at least one ally adjacent to you, you take a -2 circumstance penalty to your reflex save, and each ally adjacent to you gains standard cover against that area effect, granting them a +2 circumstance bonus to their reflex saves. That is awesome, and we've totally seen things like this in like movies and TV shows, of like the big warrior holding a huge shield overhead for like the dragon's breath, and everybody hides underneath it. That's what this is. That's cool. Level 4 feat, totally situational. I don't see anyone taking it because it's a 4th level feat. There are better feats, and it's rarely useful. You reflexively place your shield between your eyes and visual dangers. While your shield is raised, you gain the benefits of avert gaze, which just takes an action anyway. So all this actually does is save an action. Yes, that's good. But do all the enemies have gaze attacks? No. Do all of them have visual-based attacks? No. How useful is this? No. Flying Tackle. Gotta love this one. Level 4 feat, 2 actions, flourish. You barrel forward, gathering enough momentum to take down a threatening foe. Stride and then leap. Even though you're wearing heavy armor. I love this Bastion Plate 800-pound guy just flying through the air. If you end your movement adjacent to a foe, you can attempt to trip that foe. If you succeed at the athletics check, you get a critical success. You can use Flying Tackle while burrowing, climbing, flying, or swimming instead of striding if you have the corresponding movement type. So this one rewards you for having a higher movement. Yeah, passively. But that means that the hindering trait on armor actually hinders this class, because you're already deducting at least 5 feet to your movement rate just by wearing heavier armors, medium and heavy. And if it in addition has the hindering trait like Bastion Plate, the most protective plate, you end up with minus 15 for using that armor. So like you lumber forward 10 feet for 2 actions. That's anyway. If you're wearing the right kind of armor, that works well. But tripping them is a big deal. They're prone. It takes time and effort for them to get up. It is a good feat. However, it focuses on you manipulating an enemy instead of you protecting an ally. I'm not saying that's bad, but it's a different focus from some of the feats and abilities in Guardian. It seems like there are some abilities in Guardian that work well with basically being a wrestler, but there are so few of them that it doesn't fit with the rest of the class. Most of what you're doing is being next to your allies and trying to protect them. Yeah, if there are melee allies and melee enemies, they are going to be next to each other, but you're not always going to have that situation. So you're not always going to be able to use things like flying tackle or grab or restrain, because your focus is your friends, not the enemies, which is a different way to think for a melee combatant. Anyway, I'm excited about this class, can you tell? Next one, Intercept Energy. Feat level 4. By tempering your armor with chemicals, you can use it to absorb energy damage. Okay, it's a silly explanation, but fine. Your Intercept Strike also triggers when an adjacent ally would take acid, cold, fire, electricity, or sonic damage. Great. I don't know why void damage isn't in there. It's energy too. It should be. Great. You just protect them from taking other types of damage. There's no reason not to do that. In certain adventures, that's necessary. In others, it doesn't really matter enough to be worth a feat. As is in most cases, talk to your GM today. Next level 4 feat, Intercept Foe. It's a reaction. Trigger. An ally is the target of a melee strike, and you could reach that ally with a stride action. You cannot stand still while your comrades might be in danger. Stride, and you must end your movement adjacent to the triggering ally. You can use Intercept Foe while burrowing, climbing, flying, or swimming instead of striding if you have the corresponding movement type. The ally gains a +2 circumstance bonus to their AC against the melee strike. Awesome. I love this. This lets you move across the battlefield depending on your movement rate and protect someone while you're doing it. So while the commander is all about strategy, the Guardian has a lot of strategy to consider when in a combat. This is a very interactive, dynamic, thinking man's tank. I love Intercept Foe. I absolutely love it. It's useful for protecting an ally and also for just like getting places when it's not your turn, which, you know, people in armor have a hard time doing, especially if you're facing ranged attacks. I'm running an adventure soon with this, all the playtest classes, and I am worried about how ranged attackers are going to be dealt with. It's going to be a challenge. We'll see. Level 4 feat, Shielded Attrition. 1 action. Raising your shield, you provoke attacks from foes that might otherwise stop your allies from moving. Raise your shield and then stride up to half your speed. First off, this is 1 action to get a raising of your shield and striding. I know, it's a half stride. Whatever. It's better than a step, usually. Your movement triggers enemies' reactions as normal, but whether an enemy chooses to take that reaction or not, if they were able to react to your movement, they can't react to your allies' movement until the start of your next turn. Hell yes. You are a shield line wall just moving across the battlefield, protecting your allies again. I like this class. It's designed overall pretty well. Its purpose has good clarity. 6 level feats, starting with Disarming Intercept. It's a free action. Trigger, you intercept a melee strike made with a weapon and are adjacent to the creature that made the strike. So you have to use the intercept ability to use this ability. When you catch a weapon in your armor, you can move your body to wrench it from your foe's grasp. After intercepting the strike, attempt to disarm the weapon used for that attack. You don't need to have a hand free, and you gain an item bonus to the athletics check equal to the value of the armor's potency rune. Cool. Useful? Not always. I know as a GM, I tend not to have enemies that have weapons because we live in a world with humanoids already. Humanoids are boring. I'd rather have monsters attack them. And, like, a poisonous serpent isn't going to pull out a dagger. It's just not. It's not always useful, especially depending on your GM. Like with me, it's not going to be useful at all. Next level 6 feat, energetic specialization. Oh, I will say also about disarming intercept. It is basically as good as the Bastion's 4th level archetype feat. So good. It is useful, just not always. Energetic specialization. Level 6 feat. Your armor always protects you from certain types of damage. Choose acid, cold, fire, electricity, or sonic. When wearing medium or heavy armor, you gain resistance to that type of damage equal to 1 plus the value of the armor's potency rune for medium armor, or 2 plus the value of the armor's potency rune for heavy armor. Cool, alright, fine, yeah. I think I would only take this if I don't need other 6th level feats, which is not going to happen. And I took ancestries and or versatile heritages that don't give me energy resistance. Like, you can even get energy resistance from friends casting spells reliably, or from magic items, or elixirs, potions. Like, this is usually not going to be worth a feat, because you can do other things that account for it. I guess the main benefit is that it's always in effect. So if you know you're walking into the plane of fire, this might be good to take. Or you're probably just going to get burnt to a cinder anyway. Rarely are things like this valuable compared to other things you could take, because they're situational. Mobile protection, level 6 feat. Prerequisites, bodyguard. As a reminder, bodyguard is the one that when you intercept a strike against your chosen charge, they get resistance to physical damage equal to 1 plus half of your level for 1 round. Mobile protection. You move swiftly to protect your charge when they are in trouble. Your intercept strike triggers when your charge is up to 10 feet away and takes damage. When intercept strike is triggered in this way, you can stride up to 10 feet before you take the damage, though you must end your movement adjacent to your charge, closer or the same distance to the source of the attack than your charge, and within range or reach of the triggering attack. This really varies. It's a good thing. It is. But if you have the one that you're going to be moving your movement anyway to react to get in front of them, intercept foe, you usually won't need that. It's still a reaction, either way. I don't really see the point of it, because you have to take mobile protection and bodyguard to do something that's really similar to the 1 4th level feat that has no prerequisites. Intercept foe. Tell me if you disagree, please. Next level 6 feat, reactive strike. It's reactive strike. It's the fighter's reactive strike. It's the same thing. Okay, I'll read it. Trigger, a creature within your reach uses a manipulate action or a move action, makes a ranged strike, or leaves a square during a move action it's using. You swat a foe that leaves an opening. Make a melee strike against the triggering creature. If your attack is a critical hit and the trigger was a manipulate action, you disrupt that action. This strike doesn't count toward your multiple attack penalty, and your multiple attack penalty doesn't apply to this strike. See? It's a fighter's reaction. Reactive strike. Next, level 6. Reflexive shield. You can use your shield to fend off explosions and the like. When you raise your shield, you gain the shield circumstance bonus to reflex saves. That's cool. That's good. I like it. Reflex is this class's worst save. Special, if you have the shield block reaction, damage you take as a result of a reflex save can trigger that reaction, even if the damage isn't physical damage. Also great, especially since, like, at the beginning of combat is usually when, like, an enemy might try to soften up the targets with an area effect spell. So, like, before your allies are in, like, melee base-to-base combat with other people is when this would be the most useful for you. Because you're just protecting your own ass. Next level 6 feat, stomp ground, 2 actions. You bring your booted foot down on the ground with enough force to rattle your foes. Each creature within a 5-foot emanation must attempt a reflex saving throw against your class DC. I will read the effects. Critical success, the creature is unaffected. Success, the creature is off guard until the end of your turn. Failure, the creature is knocked prone. Critical failure, the creature is knocked prone and takes 1d6 bludgeoning damage from the fall. This is shit. Because you're always going to be trying to protect your allies next to them. There's a variety of feats here and base abilities that imply you're standing right next to your allies. Stomp ground hit affects everyone within a 5-foot emanation, ally or enemy. It's just not going to be useful most of the time. It's cool that it knocks people prone, but you're knocking your friends prone. So no. 8th level, Group Taunt. Yes. Finally. Your taunts draw the attention of multiple enemies at once. When you use taunt, you can choose up to 3 targets within range. Awesome. Just awesome. Level 8 feat, Mighty Bulwark. Thanks to the incredible connection you have forged with your armor, you can use it to shrug off an extensive array of dangers. Your bonus from the Bulwark armor trait increases from +3 to +4, and it applies to all reflex saves, not just damaging reflex saves. Again, only matters if you're wearing heavy armor, not if you're wearing medium armor. And if you're wearing heavy armor, you're not very mobile on the battlefield, and you kind of need to be as a tank. Like, have you ever played MMOs? Like, the Paladin from WoW has to be able to move around. If they were rooted to the spot, the rest of the group is fucked. Just think about it. Next level 8 feat, Quick Intercept. Protecting your allies is second nature to you. At the start of each of your turns, you gain an additional reaction that you can use only to intercept a strike. Yes! That is more important than Group Taunt. But, you know, I wish there was a way to, like, sacrifice something to take 2 class feats at certain levels, because both of those are really good. I don't know which one's better, really, but I think Quick Intercept is just a little bit better. Next level 8 feat, Repositioning Blocks. Free action, prerequisites, Shield Block. Trigger. You use Shield Block to prevent damage from an adjacent creature's attack. As you absorb a blow from an enemy, you can use their attack's momentum against them. Attempt to reposition the creature whose attack you used Shield Block against. You don't need to have a hand free to do so, which is good, because this character is never going to have a hand free. Unless you punch people with a spiked gauntlet, for example. Or just use like a shield boss and just smack people with your shield. That's fine. That's doable. You gain a +1 item bonus to the athletics check if your shield is at least 4th level. If your shield is at least 4th level. A +2 item bonus if your shield is at least 10th level. +3 if it's 16th. Yeah. Meh. The bonuses aren't really going to come up that much. But it is cool that you get hit or... Well, actually, it wouldn't be... Yeah, you get hit or you protect an ally and you just, like, shove them or, like, move them off to the side. I love the imagery of this. Like, cinematically, you can picture somebody punching someone and then that person using that person's momentum to move them somewhere else. Like, we've seen a lot from martial arts movies. Cool. Next level 8 feat, Shield from Arrows. As a reaction, trigger, an adjacent ally is the target of a physical ranged strike. Requirements, you can see the attacker, you are not off guard, and you have raised your shield. You place your shield in the path of an oncoming projectile. Your adjacent ally gains a +4 circumstance bonus to AC against the triggering attack. If the attack misses, you have deflected it with your shield. That is a really high bonus to AC. If that ally is already a melee combatant, it is probably best to use this as opposed to jumping in the way of the blow. Not if they're rogue, but you know, like decently protected melee people. But if not, you're probably not going to use this anyway. Even if it is an actual like projectile from somebody else. You're just going to jump in the way, take the damage, and resist it. So this one isn't usually that useful. But in the right party composition, they're all melee people and you're clustered around a tank, because that's kind of how this works best, the whole class, then yes, that's useful. But it's 8th level. It's the same level as Group Taunt and Quick Intercept. Really? You're gonna choose Shield from Arrows? I don't think so. So like that might come into play at like 12th level, if nothing else is better. Yeah, it's probably not gonna get picked. 10th level feats. Get behind me! When saving your allies from harm, you push them behind you to better protect them. When you use Intercept Strike to protect an ally, you can move that ally up to 10 feet within your reach if they are willing. You can't move your ally into or through obstacles, and you must move your ally to be farther away from the source of the attack if possible. This class moves people around a lot. I like it. It's neat. Special, if you have intercept foe, you can move your ally in the same way if you end your movement adjacent to your ally. Yeah, this is neat. I guess I like mainly the imagery of this and the flexibility of this. It's not usually going to matter. But in this system, the more actions you require an enemy to take to move, the fewer attacks they can take. So it is still useful. It's just not always useful. And like, I like things that are always the best. Well, not always the best thing. Like, I don't care if it's like best in slot, but I want it to be fairly consistently useful. It's not always going to matter to move your ally up to 10 feet. Because if the enemy lives, they can just walk up to that enemy, or walk up to that your ally, and hit him. And most TMs are not going to take the third action as an attack. So you didn't really save anything except maybe made the enemy decide between hitting a second time and running away. It's just not that great. Next level 10 feat, Shield Salvation. You can save your shield from total destruction even after a devastating attack. If a shield would be destroyed due to damage taken during your shield block, the shield remains intact at 1 hit point instead. Its construction is weakened until you take the time to repair it thoroughly, preventing you from using Shield Salvation to save the same shield until your next preparations. It's like the Bastion ability. Yeah, okay, fine, it's good. You could also, however, just put a sturdy rune on your shield that adds a shitload of hit points and hardness. Or you can have extra shields. Or you can take Viking Archetype so you can pick up a corpse and use it as a shield. Because that's why everyone would take Viking. Anyway, meh. Sure-footed. Like, the reason that Shield Salvation works well with Bastion is that Bastion makes the shield take more damage. It makes the shield take double the damage it would have taken. So you kind of need Shield Salvation. Here it's just like, if you need it, is there. Your 10th level, you probably don't give a damn, but it's there. Next level 10 feat, Sure-footed. Even if you are knocked off balance, your armor continues to protect you. You don't take a penalty to AC from the clumsy condition if you're wearing medium or heavy armor that isn't broken. Your clumsy condition still applies to other dexterity-based checks and DCs. It really just saves you like 1 or 2 points of AC if someone targets you with a clumsy condition, and if you fail the saving throw for it. It's just crap. It's not going to be worth it. I'm sorry, it's not. There's other things at 10th level, and if you have 10th level feats left over, instead of taking Sure-footed, take Quick Intercept or Group Taunt. Level 8 feats that are awesome. Meh. Next level 10 feat, actually the last level 10 feat. Tough Cookie. I feel like this is just a placeholder name, and at the very end, somebody's like, all right, print it. Oh shit, we forgot to change Tough Cookie. Well, whatever. Hell, it's out there now. All right, 2 actions, frequency once per day. Requirements, your current hit points are at half your maximum or less. Though you've taken a lot of punishment, you aren't easily brought down. You gain a number of temporary hit points equal to half your maximum hit points that last for 1 minute. Oh my god, I read that wrong the first time. Half your maximum hit points? At 10th level? What are we talking, 120 hit points? You normally could have easily as like a max, and half that you gain 60? That's a tough cookie. I don't want to take a bite out of that cookie. Oh, that's really good. Yeah, okay, that's good. That's very good. That's probably something you want to take. Who needs a damn healer? That makes you feel like the paladin from World of Warcraft. It's like you restore half your health, like lay on hands. That's, wow. I know it's temporary, but who cares? It's great. Wow, that's a good feat. I hope they don't take that away. That's a very dramatic feat, and I like that kind of ability in anything. Something that's dramatic, that really makes a difference, that's a visible change to the battlefield. 12th level, Armored Counterattack. It's free action. Prerequisites, Intercept Strike. I'm not sure why Armored Counterattack requires Intercept Strike. It's 12th level. If you're a Guardian, Intercept Strike is given to you at 1st level. If this is for a multi-class archetype, you'd have to be 24th level to be able to take this. Well, but just, whatever. Doesn't need to be there. I know, future-proofing. It doesn't future-proof anything in this case. It doesn't make any sense. Whatever. Nitpicking. Trigger. You intercept a melee strike and are adjacent to the creature that made the strike. Frequency once per minute. With the might of your armor behind you, you hit back at a foe who would dare try to hurt your allies. After intercepting the strike, make your own strike against the triggering enemy. If this strike hits, the target is off guard against the next strike made against them. I love that it is the next strike made against them, not until the end of your turn, or not until the next strike you make against them. It's anyone's strike. Allowing your allies to hit them better, which I think is the secondary purpose of a tank. It's good to protect your allies from living, but if the enemy doesn't die, you're going to. So helping your allies hit better is great. I wish it was this way for the earlier feat, that like the one where you punch them and they're off guard until the end of your turn. It's just not as useful, because you don't start with expert proficiency in weapons. You're not that great at hitting. Okay, yeah, you're a melee combatant, you have high strength, decent, but this makes more sense to me. Level 12, Feat Paragon's Guard, 1 action. It's a stance. Requirements, you are wielding a shield. Doesn't everybody? Once you've had a moment to set your stance, you always have your shield ready without a thought. While you are in this stance, you constantly have your shield raised as if you'd use the raise a shield action. Awesome. Always take it. Great feat. Next level 12 feat, right where you want them. Prerequisites, Master in Athletics, which of course you are because you are a melee combatant. Whether with a weapon or with your bare hands, you keep your opponents in their place. Increase the distance you reposition or shove an opponent to 10 feet on a success or 15 feet on a critical success. Awesome. I love this. More of the moving around the battlefield. Just like throwing people around. I like this. It's great. This is really going to be a fun class to play. I have to throw some challenges in front of people that are weird, so they have to use these. It's good for a DM to understand how all the classes work, so you can put something in the adventure that's for that class, that works well for the things that you have to take as that class, or that you could take as that class and your players did. 14th level, Blanket Defense. It is a flourish, so once per round, beginning of the turn. Blanket Defense is 3 actions. Requirements, you are wielding a shield. Doesn't everyone? You become a bulwark against foes' attacks targeting you and your allies. Raise a shield until the beginning of your next turn, or until you no longer have your shield raised. Each ally that ends their turn adjacent to you gains the benefits of your raised shield. You may shield block a hit targeting any adjacent ally, though unless you have multiple reactions, you can shield block only once. If you are wielding a tower shield, any adjacent ally can take cover behind it to gain the increased armor, or increased bonus to armor class. I like this a lot. It's very nice for flexibility. It sucks that it takes your whole turn. However, if you have at least 2 allies around you, and there's a magical shield, I'll insert the name here, that if you use that shield, it is like made of cogs and gears. It allows you 1 extra reaction per turn just for shield blocking. So get that shield and Blanket Defense, and you protect people more. It's good. I like it. It's not always going to be useful because it takes 3 actions. You can't do anything else except reactions, which your only reaction you're planning to do is shield block. Bloody Denial, 2 actions. Level 14 feat again, flourish. You strike a foe with force to prevent them from reacting. Strike a creature. If you hit, the creature must attempt a fortitude saving throw against your class DC. If your strike was a critical hit, the result of their save is 1 degree of success worse. Here's the save results. Critical success. The creature's unaffected. Obviously, it's always a critical success. Success. The creature can't use reactions against an ally you designate until the beginning of their next turn. So just 1 ally. Failure. The creature can't use reactions until the beginning of their next turn. So that's all your allies. Critical failure. As failure, but the creature's also stunned 1. This is awesome. This is really good against monsters or enemies that would have reactive strikes. Or if your group is casters. Or just because it stuns them. That's neat too. Yeah, stunning people prevents damage to your team too. Improved Intercept Foe, level 14 feat. Prerequisites, Intercept Foe. Go figure. No matter where trouble rears its head on the battlefield, you will be there. When you intercept a foe, you gain a plus 10 foot circumstance bonus to your speed for the reaction. At the start of each of your turns, you gain an additional reaction that you can use only to intercept foe. if you get to level 14 and you don't take this, I need a really good defense from you, because that was wrong. This is the best 14th level feat to take as a Guardian. Because of course you took Intercept Foe, because it allows more movement on the battlefield. It's a great feat. It's a great feat. Great feat. Good feat. Yes, take it. 16th level. I love when the names of their feats have exclamation points, because you can't help but read it thusly. 16th level feat, Clang. Frequency once per turn. Trigger, an enemy critically misses a strike or spell attack roll against your AC. As their blow or spell glances off your armor, because Fireball's Clang now. I know it's not a spell attack roll, it doesn't matter. You make a foe pay for attacking you. Either strike the triggering enemy or stride up to your speed toward the triggering enemy. That would be frightening. If you do so and end your movement adjacent to that enemy, they are off guard until the end of your next turn. This is great. It's once per turn. Oh, this is so nice. I really like that they put in so much flexibility in movement to a tank class. I must say at first, I was disappointed that this wasn't just like a subclass of fighter. But I get now. I get it now. If you had access to all the fighter feats too, A, you wouldn't know what the fuck to pick. And B, it would be just a little unfocused, a little too much to choose from. So, this is good. It's very good. Clang is a really great feat. Next level 16 feat. Improved Reflexive Shield. Prerequisites. Reflexive Shield. Your shield can help save nearby allies. When you use shield block against damage resulting from a reflex save, adjacent allies who would take damage due to reflex saves against the same effect also benefit from the damage reduction. Cool. Just protects your allies around you. Cool. That's what your job is as a tank. So that's a good feat. Level 16 feat. Never! The idea that you would hurt your companions even when you've lost your reason is unthinkable. Each time you would strike an ally due to being confused or controlled, you can attempt another saving throw against the effect that caused you to be confused or controlled with a +4 circumstance bonus to the save. Failing or critically failing this additional save doesn't increase the effect's duration. If you would end the condition due to the save, you don't make the strike, and you can take any remaining actions during your turn as normal. This is great, very useful. You can get it different ways. You don't necessarily have to wait till 16th level and rely on your class. If you care about this being an issue, you care about it being an issue before 16th level. Okay, it's there in case you want it. Fine. It's still a really good effect. 18th level, Perfect Protection. Requirements: you are wearing medium or heavy armor because you're a guardian. Your armor protects you from the deadliest hits. Each time you're critically hit while wearing the required armor, attempt a DC 14 flat check. On a success, it becomes a normal hit. Awesome. Special: if your armor has a fortification rune, you roll only one DC 12 flat check or DC 10 if it's a greater fortification rune. Also awesome, because it improves your ability to avoid a critical hit. Now, Mirror's Trickery from the Reflection Ancestry can also be used. Perfect Protection is passive. Mirror's Trickery is a reaction. You can roll both of them. The Mirror's Trickery is only once per day, but still. You could roll both of them if you wanted to. Next level 18 feat. Last level 18 feat. Shield from spells. Prerequisites: shield from arrows. Your prowess with a shield allows you to block magic. You can use shield from arrows against ranged spell attacks. That, I have to say, is great. And there were adventures that I have run that people really would have wished they had that. In fact, they did wish they had that. Just didn't know it was possible. That's a reason to take shield from arrows. Fine. You got me. That's a reason to take shield from arrows. But should you really have to take a feat that's substandard to take a feat? Yeah, okay, because shield from spells is awesome. Oh, fine, all right. You win. 20th level feats. Boundless Reprisals. With a 6th sense for the flow of combat, you can quickly react to any situation as required. At the start of each enemy's turn, you gain a reaction you can use only during that turn for any reaction from a guardian feat or class feature. Amazing. That is, in my opinion, what the 19th level guardian capstone ability should be, because there are so many fucking reactions in this class. You need this. Yeah, I guess I wish that they would just change that to the 19th one and just make the 19th one a 20th level feat. Cool. Quick Vengeance. Last feat. Indignant at any who would strike you or your allies, you get your revenge. When you use Intercept Strike or Shield Block, you are quickened on your next turn. You can use the extra action to move closer to the enemy whose attack triggered that reaction or to strike that enemy. Meh. I know, it's quickened, so quickened is great. But you have abilities that are setups to protect people, or you could like reposition people or push people or move people and move allies even. You could set up a shield block. You could do different things. I mean, like the group shield block, that's 3 actions. Okay, so I guess it does help you position a little bit better, maybe, but only if you're trying to get to the enemy and not protect the ally next to you. Just in case? Is there just in case you want it, I guess? Fine. Alright. Nah. Quicken is always good, fine, but you can only have the quicken condition once. So if someone has cast haste on you, which at 20th level, you're probably hasted all the time, because you're the protection of the group, and it's good to have haste on the people that keep you alive. Yeah, I might just do nothing. I think they need a different or additional 20th level feat. That's just me. Now that we've gone through Guardian, I want to give you a brief word on archetypes. I went through a lot of archetypes when I was building a Guardian. And some of them are traps. And I want to point those out to you. And some of them work really, really well. And some of them are like, optional, but could work really amazingly well. So the first things that I thought of were Zombie and Wrestler. Because they're tanky people. They move people. They grapple people. They move them around. They charge people. No, because you want to be next to your allies all the time. You're not always going to be able to be next to allies and enemies. And if you are immobilizing an enemy that's next to your ally, that enemy can still fucking hit your ally. You haven't done anything. The wrestler's job is to grab an enemy and move them the fuck away. Or throw them off a cliff. And that's counteractive to some of the abilities of a guardian, not a bastion, of a guardian. So Zombie and Wrestler are out. Bastion is also out, mainly because it's not necessary. A couple of the feats that Bastion has, you can get through either Fighter or Barbarian. A couple of the feats that Bastion has are part of Guardian. So Bastion is just unnecessary. So we'll get rid of Bastion. Sentinel is a similar reason. You don't need to be better at armors. You're already good at armors. Now, I also thought of a few different ones that people are probably going to say, oh, that was silly. And it is, but that's fine. That's me. I thought about Psychic. To put up shields on other people with Tangible Dream. That takes time and actions to then raise that shield and raise your own shield. Yes, it's still a cool ability. Yes, it still says that you are the tank of the group, no matter where the hell the ally is, and that's fun. But the rest of the class, the rest of the abilities it gives you just aren't going to be that useful. Like 2 occult spells, or color spray, or imaginary weapon. Just not awesome. Not compared to other things that you could take. Is it worth it for just the shield? Almost. It might be. In the right group. It might be. Because it's fun. Or if you're hasted all the time. I'll raise shield, charge across the battlefield, and kill that guy. Yay. The next one I thought of is Magus. Mainly for the Laughing Shadow teleport. But it takes an action. And you move half your speed. If you're in heavy armor, half your speed could be 5 feet. That's not worth an action. If you're in medium armor, you have a lot of speed, or at least more speed. Do you need it? And is that the only reason to take Magus? No, Spell Strike. Okay, what are you going to Spell Strike? You need spells. Okay, so you might be able to do 1 Spell Strike in a fight and teleport an extra 15 feet with an action instead of walking, I guess. Not worth it. Next one I thought of is Soul Forger. Because of course I did. Mainly because you can have your soul forged armament be something that heals you. You can have the Essence Power Healing Grace that lets you cast heal and gives you fast healing. Hell yes. However, at low levels, what I was building this character for, 5th level, that's all you can do. You can only get 1 armament. So I didn't take it. But if you're building above 5th level, or you're just advancing a character past 5th level, really consider it. Because you can have some good defensive abilities here. Or even dispel magic, just cause. Next one I thought of is Soul Warden. Why? Well, honestly, because I first thought it'd be cool to have a spirit guide familiar that can kick as much ass in combat as you can. Because it gets your attack bonus. Alright. For a couple of reasons. One, at level 4, Cycle Spell lets you choose from Bless, Disrupting Weapons, or Heal. And you can use one of those spells once per day as an innate spell. You can only choose one of those ever. I would choose Heal to heal myself. Because I'm selfish. And it's tanks. You just heal yourself. It's the best use of healing when you can use your hit points to protect other people and you get resistance. So healing you helps the whole group. Plus, with Domain Initiate, you can get some really powerful spells. Mostly for offense. But yeah, that was mainly why. Really, the spells only work if you're fighting undead. Or if they're in 100 feet of you. So, not a good enough reason. I almost chose it anyway because I built the character for a one-shot that involves undead. But that's kind of silly. Now, Fighter, Champion, and Barbarian are all options. For Champion, you get all the armors. You don't need them. For Fighter, you get all the weapons. You don't need them. For Barbarian, you get Rage, which is cool, but you can't use Concentrate actions while you're raging. Which sucks for being able to protect your allies. Like using Taunt. So sadly, Barbarian is probably out, even though it has a cool charging ability. Because you can't taunt. Champion. It gives you cool reactions to do, or extra focus points, or a domain spell. There's just not enough variety here to really make a difference. Sure, you could take domain spells that like heal yourself, or you can get extra hit points. I mean like temporary hit points, or I mean like permanent hit points by taking Champion Resiliency as part of the archetype. Maybe later on in levels, Champion would be cool because you can just choose different domain powers, but you always have a reason for your reactions. So the Champion reactions don't really matter. Not enough. Fighter. Fighter is what I take. I know, I hate fighters. However, the fighter archetype works. For some classes, for some builds, it's the only option. And for this fighter that I built, it was necessary for not reactive striker. Silly. Nope. For basic maneuver. What basic maneuver? Why, for rebounding toss, of course. So that you can throw your meteoric shield with returning on it. So you could be Captain America. What? Everybody needs a ranged attack. If you already have a shield and a sword, what are you going to do? Throw your shield. Hit 2 enemies. Comes back to you. Captain America is available now for download. Click the description. Download it. It's fun. I love weird crap, and I don't know. This Guardian is awesome. I love the Guardian class. Yeah, it has some like issues with certain things like fighting with others, but I get that it adds options. I think that it needs a little bit of work on some minor tweaking. But overall, it seems ready to go. This class is built well enough to use right now. I quite like it. Thank you for your time and eyeballs. And thank you to my patrons. I appreciate you. I appreciate the crap out of you. And if you're not a patron, check out Patreon, $5 a month. You get a chance at winning some cool looking handmade dice, and you get to help the channel quite a bit. That's how I can do the things that I do. So I appreciate you. If you want to see my build videos, they're here. If you want to see, if you want to see live plays, or you can check out Archetype videos that I made. Commander's coming out soon. Stay tuned. And thank you for being here. Okay, thanks, bye.